and welcome to Why Not with Janice, and I'm Janice. Today we have a special guest here and a special topic. Our topic is on acting and drama. A lot of people want to get into acting and don't know where to start. Well, I have a professional here, a seasoned actor that's going to tell us about why he got involved in acting, the ins and outs, some projects he's doing, and just give us that insight that we all want to know about and see if acting's for us or not and where our passion lies. So I have a special guest here. I want to welcome him to our show, Dave Perez with the Dave Perez Show.
Thank you so much.
For coming.
Enjoy being here. Your show rocks. I've seen it a few times.
Great. Well, we're going to start with just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, God. Well, you know, acting is something that I fell into as years went on. I grew up in Chicago, little village area. And I grew up primarily, you know, in a Hispanic area. And I played a lot of soccer back then. There wasn't much to do but soccer, school, and home. Yeah. And that's what I did for the most of my life. Then we moved out of Chicago and moved to the suburbs. But I was mainly a soccer player all the way through until high school. And I guess I'm jumping above the game. But acting, I started with comedy.
Because I'm like, where does soccer go into acting?
It kind of mixes in two because I've always felt that something chooses you, you don't choose it.
Okay.
You know, there's a passion. We were talking about this before we came on air.
Right.
You know, there's a difference between a love for something and a passion for something. You know, and if you have a mixture of both, then that's great. Because if you love something, unfortunately, that may fade in time because you're a young child. And as you grow up, you have interests in other things.
Right.
Well, soccer was it. It got me out of the barrio. It got me out of Little Village. It kept me out of trouble. I ended up getting to Proviso West. I was an All-American. It paid for my college because I got a scholarship.
Wow.
So I was a very, very good soccer player. But moving from Chicago to the suburbs when I was a child, there was a lot of prejudice at that time in the 70s. And I was made fun of because I didn't have the same clothes and so forth. So instead of going home crying all the time, which I kind of sort of did when I was in third grade, I decided, you know, I'm just going to make jokes and make fun of me because I'd much rather have them laugh with me than at me.
Right.
So I started doing that like in third grade, and it went on to fourth grade, and all of a sudden in fourth grade it changed. I was the coolest kid around, you know?
Wow.
Dave Perez, he's funny, he's, you know. And then I got to fifth grade, sixth grade, and when I got to seventh grade, my English teacher said, Mr. Perez, I will give you the first 5 minutes of class to do stand-up, as long as you just be quiet the rest of the class so we can get the class done. And I started doing that. I started doing, that's my first bit in doing in front of a crowd, doing whatever little silly jokes I did.
Okay.
And then before that, I joined choir in fifth grade, sixth grade, and I became a singer as well.
Oh,
But now relating back to it with soccer, I had that growing within me, and I had the passion for it. I didn't really have the love. I had the love for soccer and the passion for soccer, and that brought me to high school. So in high school, I progressed with it. I went to college with soccer. I played professionally for a year.
Oh, wow, I did not know that. Wow,
Yeah.
interesting.
I played in Chicago professionally for a season, and then I tore up a knee, and I just played amateurly, semi-pro. And then just out of the clear blue, someone says, hey, you know, they've got a contest at this fest, you know, for singers. You should, you know, do it. So I haven't sang in a decade or more, you know.
Okay.
So I went out there and I sang, and I did pretty good. I took, what was it, third place. And after that, I would sing it. They asked me to come and sing at other fests, which I did for the summer. And that following year, a friend of mine who was an actor, a theater actor for years, dared me to do an audition. And he found out that I loved to act only because my daughter was watching, my 7-year-old daughter at the time was watching Disney, Hannah Montana.
Oh, okay.
So she wanted acting lessons because she wants to be the next Hannah Montana. You know, so I'm like, all right. So I took her to Maywood Fine Arts, which is an awesome place. They're a non-for-profit organization in Maywood, and they help out, I mean, every young child out there, even adults who wants to take acting, singing, music lessons, dance lessons, gymnastics, whatever it may be. My daughter, I took her there during one of her acting classes, and I was sitting down reading a book. until it was over with. And the teacher came out and said, Mr. Perez, we're short one actor tonight. Can you come in and just read the lines?
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
Wow, that's
So I walked in and I read the lines, and I got a phone call that same night. You know, Mr. Perez, you did really well today. And I just found out that the actor playing that role, unfortunately, can't be in the production.
okay.
Would you by chance be interested in doing this? And my daughter's like, yeah, Daddy. So I'm like, yeah, okay. You know, I'll do it. The production was The Wizard of Oz.
Wow.
Yeah, I was the Cowardly Lion, and my daughter was the Tin Man, and my nephew was the Scarecrow.
Oh,
Because
okay.
they both were taking acting lessons. So I did that for about a year. And that same buddy of mine who was an actor in theater for about 5 years
Okay.
says, that's little stuff. You're with little kids doing it, and you're doing it at a church, and, you know, that ain't real acting. Acting is on stage in front of 100 people, you know. I'm like, what's the difference? And he goes, you know what? There's an audition this coming weekend, you know, for the big big guys of the
For the
block.
big guys.
So I'm like, okay, I'll audition then. And I was in front of all my other buddies after a soccer game.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I'll do it, you know. So I went out there, auditioned, and normally when you audition, they will call you the week after before Wednesday, usually a Tuesday. They'll call and let everyone know who got casted,
Okay.
and they'll contact the people anytime after that to say, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
Well, I got a call that Tuesday, and they go, we'd like to give you a part of, you know, the part for Lane. My first production was The Importance of Being Earnest. So I had a soccer game that Saturday. We all went out drinking, and my buddy was there that night, and he goes, hey, don't feel bad if you didn't get a role. They didn't, you know, because he auditioned too. And they didn't cast me, so, you know, I'm sure you did your best.
Okay.
I'm like, well, yeah, but I got a role. I got casted. And he goes, no, you didn't. I'm like, yeah, I got casted. So that was my first big production.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that's how soccer related to this. You know, I stopped playing soccer, and then I started theater.
Did you find the strong passion that you had in soccer just blended over into acting, that you just grasped it right away?
No. You know, I mean, when I was singing on stage at the fest, and you have a couple hundred people, that's really, you know, there's an adrenaline rush, and it's draining.
And a lot of people can't do that.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't. I couldn't just jump and do that.
And I was nervous that I was sweating bullets. I really was, because it was the first time in quite a few years that I actually went on stage and sang. But with acting, it was something that I liked. And it was, acting became something like soccer, because when I was a little kid, I liked soccer. And my dad never pushed me, because he told my mom, let him like it first. And then if he likes it, he'll grow to love it, like any relationship.
Right.
You got to like the person first. If you don't like the person, you can't love the person.
Right.
You know, or it's whatever the case may be, at least for me. And acting, when I did the importance of being earnest, I played Lane. I liked it. It was kind of cool.
Okay.
But I didn't do anything for about another month or so after that production. I wasn't thinking about it until Maywood Fine Arts said, hey, you know, why don't you take acting lessons and do more stuff? And I did. I took it. I did more productions with them that whole year.
Okay.
And then I started auditioning away from that, because I started outgrowing that. And people there realized it. They're like, you know, you've progressed with this, you know. We think you should, you know, you've got your wings now. Go and fly.
Okay.
And I started auditioning at different theater productions, and I started getting roles. And 5 years later, I just kept doing it, and I just kept getting more roles, and I kept singing. And after about 5, 6, 7 years of theater productions, I was singing at the Villa Park Oktoberfest, and a producer from Comcast in Villa Park noticed me. And he said, hey, you know, I've seen you do your stand-up. I've seen you sing. I've seen you act. We should do a show, you know, the Dave Perez Show. And I didn't think much of it. I just thought he was some goofball out there. So he gives me his card. And I finished singing at the fest, and I never called him.
You never called him?
I never called him. I just thought he was a goofball. I just, yeah, whatever. And then the next year when I sang at that same fest, the same gentleman came up, and he goes, why didn't you call me?
Oh,
wait a minute, you're that guy for what you gave me your...
Oh.
Were you serious? He goes, yeah. Here's my card again. Call me. So it was like 2 weeks later. I still didn't call him. And I'm at
And you
McDonald's.
still didn't call him.
Still didn't call him. I'm at McDonald's getting a coffee, pull out my money, and it wasn't the same jeans. I never washed them. And it was his card. So I called him. And he's like, I was waiting for you to call. So I ended up going to his office. And when I got there, I'm like, oh, wow, it's Comcast. He wasn't lying.
He wasn't lying.
You know? And he goes, here's what we're going to do, blah, blah, blah. So I did 3 episodes of original The Dave Perez Show back then. And then my brother passed away sudden. And I kind of just drifted away from everything. I just worked, took care of the family, and I just didn't act. I didn't want to do nothing. I just got in a really down period of life that was brought upon. I don't blame my brother's passing away. It was just me, you know. So in due time, my daughter came up one day, and I'll never forget it. And it was, I was amazed. And she goes, you know what, Dad? You know, I love you, but you know, if Uncle Steve was alive, he'd kick your blank.
Wow.
What'd you say?
Getting the truth from your daughter.
Yeah. She goes,
get back in acting.
And I thought about it, and I took a little time away, and I'm like, you know what? She's right. I mean, he was the one person, because I lost my mom and my dad, I mean, before him.
Okay.
So he was really family-wise, besides my daughter, at that point. And it brought me back to it. You know, it brought me back to it. Because my brother was alive when I taped the first couple episodes.
Okay.
And he was very proud. So, you know, getting out of a little village alone, you know, and being to where I'm at today is, if I can do it, anyone can do it.
You can do it.
You got to have the love, and you got to have the passion. And not just for this, I mean, be an architect. You know, we talked about this earlier.
Right.
You know, people want shortcuts. I want to be an actor. I want to be an
athlete.
athlete.
You want to be an actor.
You know, I mean, we need prison ministers, which you had a show on.
Right, on prison ministry just recently.
Oh my God, we need people like that. We need people to help people.
And it's finding your passion and what you really have your heart for, that you put your life into that.
Yep.
You put all that passion, energy, motivation into it, and it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
It can be something great, and it will be something great.
Absolutely. You know, and when I got back into it, I came back strong. I started with theater again.
Okay.
I auditioned for a theater role, I got it. And then I auditioned for another theater role, and I got that too. So I'm learning 2 lines for 2 different shows, and then I had to put on that production, and the weekend after that production was over, the other one started. And then in the process of that one, a producer came up and says, I want you to audition for this TV role, or this movie. And I do theater. I mean, I did the Dave Perez Show, but to actually do a movie was new. And TV and filmmaking in a movie are different.
Now, I've seen some of your clips, and you put a lot of emotions in them. And a lot of your characters, I'm like, oh my, like I've seen one of your clips that you're a prisoner, an inmate. And I'm like, I didn't know he's been in jail. It was just that compassion in that. Now you also have some that are emotional. Do you grab things from your childhood or thinking of your parents or your brother that brings like even the crying or that emotion out?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the Prisoner movie was the first one that I auditioned for, and I got the role. And I just know because half my friends were either dead or in prison when I was in Little Village, you know? So going to see them, just, you know, I mean, going back to the neighborhood and seeing some of them who got out, and they'd come up to me, and they're on drugs, and they'd still come up to me at Douglas Park when I'm playing soccer, and they'd give me a hug, and they're all, you know, they're all gang related. And they'd say, man, you know what? We would have kicked your butt if you stuck around here and got in a gang. We knew you'd do something with your life. And I try to tell them, I go, guys, I'm doing this now, man. You can do it.
Right.
Get out of gangs. You don't need that stuff. You know, I mean, I'm not trying to run your life, because it's a hard line when you talk to someone that way.
Right,
you know?
I understand.
But I was off limits in Little Village. They wouldn't let no one, you know, try to, you know, get me into gangs. I was a neutron. I was neutral. I was never in that.
Okay.
But even when I played the dad of a dying daughter of diabetes, you know, my daughter has diabetes, and I've taken her to the hospital quite a few times with it. So you dig from what you can, and there's some roles you just can't. You know, you're playing a role where that has opposite of what you aren't.
Right.
You know, that's what makes the actor. You know, you try to think what that person is, or you might watch film on it, or you might actually go to that area of the town, in the city or whatever, and you just, you are that character. There's a breakdown when I act. 5 minutes prior to on set, I am that person, and it's draining. It's really it's draining mentally.
Because you become that person, you have to mentally put them on and become that actor, that person, whatever character, and take over the whole persona.
Yep, absolutely. And even when I played,
you do an excellent job at it.
Well, thank you.
I've seen your clips. You do an excellent job at it.
I've played a lot of detectives, and I did a few interrogation scenes where, I'm foul mouthed and I'm tough and I'm rough, and it just comes.
Right.
I picture certain things in my life. The police officers, detectives, when they're doing drug busts and down my block, and I've seen them. So there's memories that come back, but I think you become that persona, and it's as time went on with acting, I had the love for it at that one point, and then I had the passion for it, because every time I took a step away, whether it was for a month, I always got a phone call. Hey, I'd want you to audition for this. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. Hey, we want to do the Dave Perez Show again. And I came back full force with the Dave Perez Show this time. And I thought about it, and my daughter was right. Uncle Steve would kick your butt. But I'm not doing it for him, per se. I'm not doing it for my mom or dad. I pray they're looking down at me because I want them to be proud. But you got to do it for you. You got to do it because this is what you want to do. And then you'll do it for the right reasons. Don't do it for money. Don't do it for fame or fortune. Don't do it for no one else. It's like anything else. If you don't like who you are, then you can't be the person you want to be. You're going to be somebody else throughout life. I'm going to be who you want me to be to like me, or this and that.
And it sounds like God keeps calling you back too. The minute you take a little break, He's kicking you back in there.
Yeah, and it is. It is. It is. It is. It's Jesus saying, hey, you know what? I mean, this is what. Because I pray quite a bit, and I don't pray to be successful. I don't pray to have riches. I pray for guidance, because I don't. You need guidance.
Right.
I don't know everything in this world. No one does.
Right.
But I'm always looking for that answer. And I want to be able to help out people and pay forward. And for my show, I like to get people, yourself and otherwise, on the show, and I can promote talent. And if I can do that and progress at what I do, I think when you pay forward, you pay tenfold. You get paid tenfold.
Right.
And whether it's in the Bible or not, and it is, but I just believe that in my heart, and I know that the good deeds that I will do will come off at some point good. It might not be in acting. It might not, but it'll be my granddaughter doing great and getting an education, and my daughter, beating the diabetes and becoming more healthier, and the other things. I mean, everything else will fall in place in life.
Because just not only acting, you do producing and writing, and you actually kind of mentor younger people. Because I know on one of your shows, you've actually had to interview a young lady that wrote a song for a movie.
Yeah. I was speaking to one of the people who were here earlier, one of the audience members, and she was talking about what young children and such, and I said I had a mom come up to me once and said I have a 5-year-old son, he's a goofball, he's out there, he's got flamboyant. What should I do? I want to put him into acting. What's your suggestion? And I said, well, just don't. Don't. If he's got thick skin, because you're going to get 1,000 no's for a couple of few yeses. But I said, with all honesty, let him dictate that. Don't let. I mean, if he likes playing Legos, let him play Legos for now. But if he says, "Mom, I want to do this," like my daughter did, and tomorrow my daughter and granddaughter have a commercial shoot.
Oh, okay.
So my daughter's an actress, and so is my granddaughter. But I don't force them.
Okay.
I never force them. But the young lady who was on the show, she went through life being bullied, and she had specific problems with her own personal life, and music got her away from that. Like soccer got me out of Little Village. Music gets her away from that. That's her creative sense, And my advice is keep doing it. Don't, you like you. Don't worry about who likes you.
Right.
I mean, as long as you like you, your parents like you, and Lord Jesus loves you, that's really all you really need.
And I love how you pay it forward by helping other people get into it. You know, so you started doing. At first, you were doing singing.
Yeah.
On the stage. Then you revolved into theater. You said The Wizard of Oz was on your first
Wizard
one.
of Oz, yeah.
And then did, I guess, stand-up. You mentioned that just briefly. You ended that in there, snuck that in.
I was doing the stand-up when I was in 7th grade.
Oh, right.
And then after that, it turned into an improv troupe, the Fabulous Rembrandt Brothers, and we would perform at different wine bars and such.
Okay.
And that was really a lot of fun. That was my younger years, my middle years of theater.
Okay.
You know, and I have a lot, we were talking about mentoring. A lot of people come up, well, you know, I'm on this 4th tier at Second City and I'm doing this, and I hate to call out names of acting schools, but nothing against Second City. I told them, they asked me, so where'd you do your learning? Where'd you go to school? You know, blah, blah, blah. I went to College of Hard Knocks. I learned on stage, you know, and that's the best teacher.
Right.
Because Second City can't teach you to be funny. You're funny or you're not.
Yeah.
If you go to school for acting, they'll teach you the fundamentals. But if you don't, my best advice to any actors, go and audition. I don't care if it's your first week in an acting class, go and audition. Get on stage, and if you get the part with 2 lines, rock it, you know? Stay there, watch the actors afterwards, because when they do their blocking during the week, which is you go there and you act, they tell you where you got to walk and stand, you learn. You learn the lingo of the business. You learn what you should or shouldn't do. You know, what camera to look at. Right there, there, there. It's there. You know, don't turn your back to it, you know? Cheat the camera. You learn all the essentials. Just get in the theater and audition, because a lot of directors love theater actors over school-taught actors.
Okay.
I was on set once, a real quick story, and there was this one actor, and they dropped their line. So they, oh, I'm sorry, cut. And the director's like, no, I'm the director. I say cut. You don't say cut. In theater, you can't do that. In theater, you're on stage in front of 100, 200 people like I've been.
You keep going on. You just go on.
Oh, God, what's my next line? What's my next line? You just, someone picks the line up, and you just keep going.
Okay.
You know, there was one instant, real quick, and the importance of being earnest. I come out, and there's supposed to be a tray of sandwiches for for Lady Bracknell. So I come out with Algernon, because I'm the servant for Algernon. I'm his servant. And he goes, excuse me, Lane, do you got the sandwiches for Lady Bracknell? And I turn around to the table, and they're not there. The prop person didn't put them there. But there's a bottle of wine there. So I go, oh, I'm sorry, sir. I started to act like I was a little tipsy. I left them in the kitchen. I'll be right back. And as I was going, I grabbed the bottle of wine and started drinking it. And now the people who love, theater people who love the importance of being earnest, knows that something's screwed up.
Okay.
But the audience didn't, you know, they were laughing, because they just, I came back out with the sandwiches. Here you go, sir. Is that all you need? And then he's like, oh, God, yeah. And I got backstage, and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. We forgot the sandwiches. No, don't worry about it. You can't do that in TV. You know, TV, you can say cut, and you redo it. That's why directors and producers and casting people love theater actors. They're trained in theater. And that was the best schooling I ever got, that decade of theater. It taught me.
I love your piece of advice to just go and do it. That's part of like where my saying goes, why not? Why not try things, do things, explore it, give it a shot. What do you got to lose? Hey. You know, if you sit at home and don't do anything, you're missing out. Just go there, try it. I like that.
And you know, that goes with anything in life. You know, I'm going to college and I want to be, I don't know, a doctor. Well, then, you know, go maybe and visit doctor's offices. And, yeah, I'm a pre-med student. Can I just hang out and watch what you guys kind of do? You know, here's my credentials. You know, I'm at school here at Loyola or Northwestern or wherever. You know, I mean, do those things. If that's what you're going to do, do it, you know.
Explore.
Just, you have nothing to lose, but you have everything to gain. And I think, unfortunately, there's a society, or there's just an age group that just like we were talking prior, they want it now. And, you know, no one's privileged to anything but their next breath. You know, what you get is what you work for. And I've worked hard. And you know, like you said, I write and I'm doing producing. I've done a lot of acting. No, I'm getting on that side of the camera. And
like, I want to get to know a little bit, really, what your plans are now. What are you actually doing right now?
Oh, God.
What's on your table?
A lot of sketch comedies for my show. I've actually wrote the pilot for the Dave Perez comedy sitcom, and I'm pitching that to a couple producers and directors. because when I started the Dave Perez Show as a variety show for Comcast itself, I wanted bigger visions for it. Originally, it was supposed to be a sitcom pilot, and I implemented that. I wrote that, and now I'm just doing the proofreading for it.
Okay.
And a guest on my show in a few weeks will be one of the the production company that will probably film it, tape it, and push it to all areas of this nation at least.
Oh, wow.
So I'm looking at that. I have my own production. I got my own smaller production company now because I invested money I've made. So I can shoot my own short films, which I'll be doing. I've worked with an agent in the past, but I've got more of a hustle than any agent I ever had.
Okay.
Because they'll get me an audition every few weeks, but I go out and I'll get an audition every week.
Okay.
I hustle. But I have another agent right now, which, I suppose I could mention the Rock Agency in Chicago. They're based. Are interested. They want me to sign with them.
Okay.
And there's pros and cons to it.
Do you recommend agents?
Absolutely. I think they're a great big help, but you should be able to at least negotiate. Most agents are a 1-year exclusive contract. You're with them for that year. And there's a lot of different bylines that include that. So anyone wanting to get an agent, make sure you read everything, the fine print. I was with Babes and Bows originally, and they were a year exclusive, but I negotiated to be a non-exclusive because if I'm not making them money in the first 3 months by getting roles, I'm not making money either. So we're not a good fit. But the people at the Rock Agency did mention the fact that, it's a growing process. Sometimes it doesn't happen like this in Hollywood, and it doesn't.
Right.
I've been very fortunate. In the last 2 years, I've done, 18 short films, a couple feature films, 3 TV shows, 4 commercials, a web series. So I've been fortunate with what I've done.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, I appreciate all your help in coming on and telling the audience what they need to do to start and just giving us all this vast information about your shows. I'm looking forward to seeing you on television and already on Comcast, on Channel 19.
Yeah, Friday nights.
On Friday nights, and your website, if you want to let everyone know the website address.
Well, my email, because I'm working on the
right.
website, but the email, DavePerezComedyAOL.com.
And Facebook, right?
Facebook, The Dave Perez Show, and YouTube, Dave Perez Show.
Okay.
Send up me smoke signals, whatever you got to do. The bat signal, the Perez signal.
Right. Looking forward to that future series on TV on the regular networks. I'm looking forward to that.
Do something too.
And a movie, yes, we will. Well, we're going to wrap up our show. I hope to have you on again, and maybe we can see some of your skits next time.
Yeah.
And some of your clips. Thank you very much for coming. This is Janice with Why Not. You can see us on Facebook, also on YouTube. We're also on Homewood, Channel 19 Comcast. Please check us out. If you have any comments, write us. We love to hear from you. And if you have any suggestions, drop us an email. Thank you very much and have a nice night. And thanks again, Dave, for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh my.